In 1998, President Bill Clinton visited Rwanda, where he formally apologized for the U.S. government's inaction during the 1994 genocide. He lamented that the international community did not immediately call these crimes by their rightful name. Indeed, this was an omission of historic proportion, and the absence of outrage enabled policymakers to avoid considering bold measures that might have made a difference. The U.S. government is risking the same kind of failure in the case of Myanmar's Rohingya minority. On October 5, State Department testimony to the House Foreign Affairs Committee was strikingly reminiscent of the initial descriptions of the situation in Rwanda. Members of Congress tried in vain to persuade the department's East Asia witness, Deputy Assistant Secretary Patrick Murphy, to declare that ethnic cleansing was taking place in Myanmar, also known as Burma. Instead, he described the situation as a cauldron of complexities. His remarks betrayed little sense of urgency. More than 500,000 Rohingya, about half of the Rohingya population living in Myanmar prior to August 25, have fled to Bangladesh, joining hundreds of thousands already there as refugees. The exodus continues, and there is little doubt that Myanmar's military is responsible for crimes against humanity. To be sure, the October 5 testimony came after more pointed statements last month by Vice President Mike Pence and by Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. But these statements haven't been followed by a strong U.S. effort to rally the world to the cause of the Rohingya. As a result, the State Department testimony remains the most detailed discussion of U.S. policy to date. Our values demand we should not simply sit by as if there were nothing we could do to prevent the tragedy. U.S. interests in regional stability and democracy in Myanmar also compel stronger action. The persecuted Rohingya population has already attracted the attention of movements in the Islamic world. Militant groups may seek recruits among the roughly 1 million Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. Future attacks by Rohingya insurgents in Myanmar would give the military a pretext to reassert control and end the country's long-fought struggle for democracy. Bold action is essential to diminish the likelihood of such an outcome and to enable the safe return of the Rohingya. It is true that the challenges are formidable. While civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi has expressed a willingness to accept the return of the Rohingya who have fled, no one knows what obstacles may be imposed by Myanmar's authorities. It is unrealistic to believe Rohingya whose villages have been destroyed would have sufficient confidence to dare return. Moreover, action to bring multilateral pressure to bear at the United Nations risks being stymied, above all by the Chinese government, which supports Myanmar's military. China also has an interest in good relations with Bangladesh and the Islamic world as well as in the long-term stability of Myanmar itself. For all these reasons, the United States should seek to join with China to press both Suu Kyi and Myanmar's military to agree to the return of the Rohingya refugees and to provide them with genuine safeguards. In particular, UN Security Council members should urge that such safeguards include rapid deployment of a UN peace observer mission to Rakhine State, home to the overwhelming majority of the refugees. The mission would monitor both the return of refugees and conditions facing all ethnic communities, including those Myanmar's government are concerned may be threatened by Rohingya insurgents. The diplomatic involvement of the Chinese, who now contribute more personnel to UN peace operations than any other permanent member of the Security Council, could provide reassurance to Myanmar's government and military. The politics of this effort would be extremely complicated. But it is worth a try, as it may be the only hope to promote regional peace and stability and keep faith with the Rohingya population whose most fervent desire is to live in peace in Myanmar.